Now this is an in-depth review of Fallout 76. I'll talk about everything the game has to offer and answer whether or not you should play it now that it's on discount. I'll first talk about the open world. The open world of Fallout 76 is very diverse. You have places like the bog, which are very colorful, very alien-like, and you have places like the mire, which are very dark and very drab. And so you have this nice contrast of areas that don't feel boring. Now, the open world is quite big. It's very big. But you can fast travel pretty much anywhere, and with the help of some perks, you can get around even quicker. Now, you have this big open world. So, what activities are you going to be doing? You have three main activities: raids, questing, and just general exploration for resources and stuff like that. First off, the raids are quite challenging, so you're gonna be needing a team. However, building a team with people you don't know is quite difficult in this game. You might be level 60 and people will be like level 1000 plus, and it'll be quite challenging. So raids in this game are reserved for friends. If you have a team already, then you can do it. However, it's quite challenging to get a team with randoms. Now, second activity is questing. Questing is the main gameplay of Fallout. So how are the quests in this game? Well, quests are very akin to New Vegas, where you have your choices that affect the characters, the world in general, and the outcome of the quests, and also the factions you're gonna be with throughout your game. Now, you might be wondering, how can my choices affect the world if it's an online game? Won't that ruin the experience for everyone? Well, it's personalized. So take for example the Watoga questline. The Watoga city is overrun with robots, with rogue robots that will shoot you on sight. When you complete the quest line and disable these rogue robots and change them back to passive normal robots, they will stop attacking you and the city will be safe. So this is a very big change in the world. However, if a player who didn't do the quest line happens by Watoga, the robots will shoot them on sight. So it's personalized. However, if you're in a team, the change in the city or the change in the world in general will be for everyone in the team. Now, in terms of dialogue choices and actual agency on the world, you have a lot of it. Your choices carry immense weight. You could do choices or make choices that will actually lock you out of factions. You can make choices that will lock you out of the Brotherhood of Steel or the Raiders or other factions. So you have to be careful, and this game being online, there is no going back. If you choose a dialogue option that is polarizing for the faction, then there is no going back. You're stuck with that option. So if you accidentally pick there's actually no wrong dialogue options. You can be hostile to factions, and other factions you can be nice. So it's your choice. But if you're accidentally bad to a faction but good to another faction, then that faction will probably lock you out. And you have a real reputation system, where if you happen by a faction that you have low reputation in, they will start insulting you, they will start calling you names, and you won't get anything from that place. So, for example, the faction quests in this game, what are they like? The faction quests in this game are very interactive and very branching. You can have choices, you can do choices or make choices within the same quest line that locks you out of certain NPCs. So take for example the Brotherhood of Steel, when I'm forced to choose between Knight Shin and Paladin Romani. They have both opposite ideas. If I support Knight Shin, I will get certain dialogue options and he will like me more, whereas Paladin Romani will hate me. So what does that choice carry? Well, if you support Paladin Romani, you will cut off communication from the elders, so that the Brotherhood of Steel in Appalachia, which is the world of Fallout 76, will be cut off from the whole Brotherhood of Steel. It will be like a rogue Brotherhood of Steel. However, if you support Night Shin, the Appalachian Brotherhood of Steel will be the same as any other Brotherhood of Steel, and it will be communicating with others. So what does that carry? It means that if you support Paladin Romani, you will give the Brotherhood of Steel more agency over the goodwill of the people. However, if you support Night Shin, you will give them less agency for the goodwill of the people. So you're actually hurting the people by choosing Night Shin. However, you could argue that Night Shin is the better guy because he wants the greater good. It's true, he wants the greater good. However, Paladin Romani wants the good of the people, even if it causes destruction in the long term. Now, this is just like one of the first faction quests that you're gonna be doing, because the Brotherhood of Steel is relatively close to the spawn, and you can start it anytime. Now, in terms of the factions in Fallout 76, you have a lot of factions in this game. You have factions that you can interact with, you have factions that you cannot interact with, and for good reason, and you have side factions that are, they have a name for themselves in Appalachia, but they don't carry any agency. Like the retreat. The retreat is a small faction. They have a name. They're very well known, but they're weak. So yes, you can do questing. You can talk to them. You can give them food. You can give them money. However, they won't do any meaningful change in the world. Now, factions like the Brotherhood of Steel, the Raiders, the Foundation, the Retreat, etc., those factions you can interact with, and it's not black and white which one is good and which one is bad. Like, you can even argue that the Raiders are good. You have basically 3 types of Raiders, or 4 types if you include the Radicals. The Raiders are the normal Raiders. The normal Raiders are the people who are still humane. They don't kill for fun, they kill for survival. So if you go to the crater, which is the home place of the Raiders, you can interact with them, talk to them, even trade with them, and they won't do anything. Raiders are pillagers. They're not killers. So they'll go to a village, pillage that village, and then get out. If they don't have to kill, they won't kill. So they are humane, and if you follow their story, you might think that they're not that bad. Yes, they killed a lot of people, but also did the Brotherhood of Steel. They killed a lot of people. Now, the second type of raiders are the Blood Eagles. The Blood Eagles are people who only kill, and in my time of playing Fallout 76, I've only got one chance of actually interacting with them. They shoot on sight. So every time I see a Blood Eagle, they start shooting me. However, there's one time that I have encountered where I was able to talk to their leader. Their leader is called Dagger, and you can talk to her, you can negotiate with her, and she's basically the only sane person there. However, if you talk to her wrong, she'll start shooting you, and with her minions too. So the Blood Eagles are bloodthirsty for the sake of being bloodthirsty. They don't have any motive other than just killing. Okay? The third type of raiders are cultists, Mothman cultists. The Mothman cultists saw the Mothman, which is a mutated variant of the moth. It is an enemy that can teleport. It is an elite enemy. Okay? And they started worshipping him for some reason. They are people who have gone mad. They are more akin to the cult of Cthulhu. So, interacting with them is really out of the question. Okay? And the last thing is the free radicals. Free radicals are a very niche type of raiders that are just, as their name suggests, free. They're there to do whatever they want without the authority of any law, of any civilization, of anything. They just want to be free. These shoot on sight. For some reason, I don't know why they shoot on sight, but I haven't seen anyone who I can interact with yet, because free radicals are quite rare. They don't have like a special space that they inhabit. They're roaming around. They're free radicals, as their name suggests. So those are the raiders. Now for the Brotherhood of Steel, I've already talked about that. You have the Foundation too, and you have the Tree People. You have a lot of factions in this game. That's what I'm trying to say. The factions in this game are very deep and very what's it called? Very complex. Like you can't just go to the raiders and say, oh, those are the bad guys. You can't say that. They have motives. They even care about one another. You can't go to the Brotherhood of Steel and say, oh, those are good people. No, they have a lot of bad things. They literally steal technology from people by force. If you don't abide, they're gonna kill you. So they're not good people in a sense. And you can even go to the Foundation and say they are black and white good or black and white bad. Every faction has their pros and cons, and you have to choose which one you wanna join. You can do every quest, as far as I can tell. You can do all quests for all factions before you commit to a faction. However, you can commit early on. Okay? Now the third activity is general exploration for resources. General exploration in Fallout 76 is pretty good. It's pretty good in the sense that it's rewarding. You can yes, this game has microtransactions, but as far as I can tell, the microtransactions are cosmetics only. Okay, and anything meaningful you can get for free, and it's not grindy at all. It's not grindy at all. You can get anything for free very consistently, and it's not bad at all. One of the key complaints that I had with this game is the lack of adhesive. Adhesive is a relatively rare component that you need for pretty much anything. Any crafting recipe in this game requires adhesive. So that was my key issue with this game, until I figured out that you can actually make a farm with specific vegetables, and you can make a vegetable starch and turn that vegetable starch into adhesive. Yes, it's a very long process, but it's a consistent way to get an otherwise rare material. So exploration is pretty good, and also you can come across quests in Fallout 76 by doing that, by doing exploration, because questing in Fallout 76 you don't actually have a marker that tells you where you need to go for a specific quest. So say you didn't happen by the Brotherhood of Steel, you won't get any Brotherhood of Steel indication. You have to actually go there, discover the place, talk to the people until you reach someone who is willing to talk to you. So it's not like other RPGs where you have a quest marker and you go talk to the person and he gives you a quest. No, it's not like that. Now the RPG elements in this game. The RPG elements in Fallout 76 is very complicated, and it's not like complicated that it's hard to understand. It's complicated that it has a lot of moving parts, and having a lot of moving parts makes it so it's very easy to be underpowered and quite hard to be overpowered. And it's a good thing, because being overpowered in Fallout really takes some of the fun out. Now, the RPG elements in Fallout 76 are classified, or it's not actually classified, but it can be classified into 3 parts: your character, your weapons, and your armor. Okay, now your character, when you level up, you get a perk point. You use that perk point from level 0 to level 50. You use that perk point to level up one special attribute like strength, perception, intelligence, agility, luck, etc., etc. And having enough perks in or enough levels in one in one attribute will unlock more skills for that attribute. So for example, if you have high intelligence, you'll be able to craft better items, you'll be able to hack terminals better, you'll gain the ability to increase the durability of your weapons, and also craft more things that you wouldn't be able to craft. So if you have low intelligence but maybe high strength, you'll be able to carry more, you'll be able to do high melee damage, you'll be able to in general be stronger. You know, you can have a build with your fists, and you can have a build with even some ballistic weapons like missile launchers, scale with strength and stuff like that. So this game being a multiplayer online game and a massively open world one, it is better for a new player to have a broad build to start with, and you can unlock a special terminal that makes you respec. So it's not the end of the world if you make a wrong choice. However, if you're just starting out, it's better to make a broad build that can do everything decently. Okay, and later on, when you're high enough level, you can respec and make loadouts. So you can save a loadout for basically maybe a strength build with certain attributes, certain perks, and one for agility, one for strength. One for intelligence, maybe one for ballistic weapons, one for melee. You know. So that's just one part. In that same part, you have a lot of perks too. When you level up, you spend one attribute point for strength, and then opens a section where you can choose a perk for that attribute you picked. So for example, if I picked strength, I'll get now the choice between about, I think, like 10 or 15 perks, and I can pick one for strength. So maybe do more damage with melee, or carry more, or having junk makes me take less damage, etc., etc., for that specific attribute. Okay, and you can with each level, or each 1.5, not 1.5, I mean each 2 levels, you gain a perk packet. When you open that perk packet, they give you random perks for any attribute. So you can mix and match whatever you like. So these are the normal perks, and you have a lot of them. You have a lot of them. They are very they're kind of like the perks you get in Expedition 33, the Pictos. They're kind of like that, but you have a lot of them here, and they change your character drastically. Now you have something called legendary perks. Legendary perks, as far as I can tell, are open quite early on, but you can only pick one, and if you want to change them, you have to be 50 plus levels. You know, you have to be more than 50, level 50, to be able to change the legendary perks. Now that's just one part. The second part is the weapons. The weapons have their own leveling system. They have levels, they have modifiers, they have perks, etc., etc. So take for example the 10mm pistol. The 10mm pistol is the pistol that you're gonna start with. It is very basic. You can take it and add parts to it, like a reflex sight. You can upgrade the magazine, upgrade the receiver, make it automatic instead of single action. yeah, a single action. You can make it have a modifier, so maybe it will do more damage to super mutants, maybe it will make the enemies explode on hit. There are a lot of things that you can do, and you can take a legendary weapon like maybe a legendary 10mm pistol, scrap it and get a chance to learn that modifier, that legendary modifier. Using that legendary modifier you can add it to your 10mm pistol, and add another legendary modifier to your liking, and it works like that. You can make an overpowered weapon by doing that, by extracting parts from different weapons you get and adding them to a specific weapon. And also they have levels, so maybe a level 10mm pistol is very weak compared to like a level 40mm pistol. However, if you don't engage with that system, you'll be very underpowered. It is crucial that you learn how to modify and change your weapons, and also you can craft weapons and make them how you like. This is why intelligence is quite important in this game, because it affects the crafting and affects the durability, which I'll talk about now. The durability in this game, at first glance it might seem like it's for pay to win. However, that system was also in New Vegas, a single player game. You can buy repair kits for atoms, and also you can get atoms for free, by the way. However, getting repair kits is very expensive and very unrealistic. What you want to do is repair the weapon with the workbench. So maybe my 10mm pistol is broken. Now I'll need 2 adhesive, maybe 2 steel, maybe 1 wood, like that, and I'll be able to repair it. It's not very expensive, however it can get expensive, so I recommend making a farm early on and getting a cheap way for adhesive and other materials. So actually repairing the items from the workbench in a free way without the atoms is actually cheaper than if you go and get the repair kits. Now that's the second part. The third part, the armor. The armor works exactly like the weapons. You have levels, you have perks, and you have legendary modifiers. The levels, it's exactly like the weapons. If you have a level 5 leather harness, maybe it's very much weak compared to a level 40 harness maybe. And perks is like the cloaking armor makes you invisible if you get hit or if you crouch. And legendary modifiers is exactly the same as weapons. You can get legendary modifiers out in the wild and add them to your armor. Now legendary enemies are the enemies that drop legendary gear. Now legendary enemies are quite rare early on, so you won't be able to actually find any until you reach level 50 or even 40. At 40 is the sweet spot. I started encountering a lot of legendary enemies at 40. They started at 30 and then now they're quite common at 40. Legendary enemies are basically the same enemies but stronger, and they drop legendary weapons. Speaking of enemies, the enemies in this game, they have a ton of variety. So you might think that yeah, they have like the Yao guy, for example. They have a small Yao guy, a medium Yao guy, a big Yao guy, and then a legendary Yao guy. So you might think they're just boosting the number of enemies artificially. However, when you factor in that the variety of enemies are very, like it's very like a lot. That's what I'm trying to say. The variety here for beasts, like animals, is quite big. You have death claws, you have sheep squatch, you have stranglers, I think they're called, you have the gulpers, You have the Yao guy, you have the red roach. I think there are probably close to 50 different types of beasts in this game. That doesn't count the humans or the robots or the ghouls, the types of ghouls you'll encounter, the scorched you'll encounter too, and the super mutants. So you have a lot of variety here. I don't think you'll find a way to complain about the variety in this game. And when you see a legendary enemies, the first thought that will come to mind isn't that, oh, it's the same enemy but higher HP or stuff like that. The first thought you'll find is that, oh, this is a legendary enemy, it has legendary loot, I wanna kill it, I wanna get that legendary loot. That's the first thought that comes to mind when you see a legendary enemy. So you have elite enemies, as I like to call them. You have basically a lot of types of mobs in terms of difficulty, not in terms of variety. So you have trash mobs. Trash mobs are basically the mobs you'll encounter in the wild, like the Scorched. They die in like 1 or 2 hits, and they're just there for you to shoot something as you walk towards the quest. You have normal mobs, which are the slightly stronger, like the Blood Eagles, the Raiders, the Free Radicals. Mobs that pose a challenge, and if you're not careful, you can die. However, they're not that hard. You have the harder mobs like the super mutants, and here you have to be quite careful. The super mutants pose quite a threat, especially the missile launcher ones. You can die instantly if you're not careful. However, they are manageable. Then you have your elites. The elites are basically, they're not bosses, but they're also not trash mobs. So the elites include the Deathclaw, the normal Deathclaw, not the alpha, not the legendary. The normal Deathclaw, the Mothman, the Gulper, there's another one that I actually forgot its name, and you have the Super Mutant Master, I think it's called, the one that wields a minigun. There are other types, that those are the ones I can remember now. So these are neither the hardest thing in the world, nor are they a pushover. If you give a normal Deathclaw a chance, he'll kill you instantly. And also if you give the Super Mutant Master a chance, he'll kill you instantly. Now you have the quite challenging mobs that I like to call mini bosses. This includes the Sheep Squatch. The Sheep Squatch is the easiest of the bunch. However, it's quite tough and deals quite a lot of damage, and if you're not careful, you can die quite quickly. You have the Scorch Beast, and in terms of or dependent on the type of the Scorch Beast, it is gonna pose a very big challenge. The Scorch Beast is quite challenging because it flies a lot and spawns the Scorched that keeps on shooting you, and it's quite hard to shoot because it's flying all over the place, so you have to shoot its wings first to bring it down. Its melee hit is quite hard, it hits quite hard, and it can shoot from afar. You also have the I can't remember anymore, to be honest. Oh yeah, the Alpha Deathclaw. The Alpha Deathclaw is quite, holy shit. The Alpha Deathclaw is very overpowered in this game, and if you see one and you don't have a means to get away, then you're probably dead. It's very fast and it's hard to hit. Now you have the bosses, and the bosses are quite pronounced in this game. You won't really encounter a boss unless you go looking for it. So for bosses, I can't recall any bosses at the moment, and it's not because it's not because they're not memorable or anything. It's because things things overlap with each other while you're playing this game. Like when you have like 50 scorched shooting at you and 2 death claws coming at you, and also the boss in the background, you don't really pay attention to the name of the boss or anything like that. So the bosses in this game are they're not basic. They're not basic. However, um, they're not also complicated in a mechanical sense. They're good to look at, but they're not like Elden Ring where you have to dodge and stuff like that. It's an RPG game where you focus on trying to kill before you're killed. Okay? So these are the bosses. Now you have something even harder than that, which are the raid bosses. The raid bosses are basically impossible. Yeah, that's it. It's basically impossible. You have to be literally overpowered, and you gotta have a team of at least 6 people that are also overpowered to be able to stand a chance. The raid enemies or the raid bosses kill you in one hit easily, and they take basically no damage. They're very humbling. You might run around killing trash mobs and thinking you're overpowered until you get to the gleaming depth and try to fight the first raid boss. It is very hard. Um, so there's also the building, which I'll talk about in a bit. The building in this game consists of basically placing objects down and using your materials to build. So it's very basic. However, it's actually um, quite free form in my opinion. That means like you can place anything anywhere. So it's not like a snap. Like you don't have to put the wall next to a wall. You can add the wall anywhere. You can add the wall inside the wall. So you can get pretty creative. However, it's not really my type. I usually use building for resources like the farming, the what's it called, the terminals that charge your fusion core, and also the terminals that charge your power armor. So building is basic. However, it has a lot of potential if you're creative. Speaking of power armor, the power armor in this game, I'm very glad, is very akin to Fallout 3 and New Vegas, where if you don't have the perks and if you're not high enough level, you're not gonna be able to wear it. Whereas in Fallout 4 you can wear it whenever you like. So it's much better here. The vaults in Fallout 76, they're quite spread out, but the vaults here are very much like the vaults in Fallout 4. They're ruin, and you get to explore that ruin. Now, in terms of story and campaign, if you want to say that word, Fallout 76 doesn't have a campaign. Fallout 76 doesn't have a story. Fallout 76 doesn't have a clear line you can follow. Fallout 76 is basically you're a vault dweller that was in Vault 76. Now you're coming out of Vault 76 and you have a giant world you want to rebuild. You want to make this world better. And it's up to you to make that happen. So what does that mean? It means you can forge your own story. You can come out the vault and think, oh, I want to be a raider. So you go beeline your way to the raiders and say, I want to pledge my life to be a raider, and you'll be a raider. You'll go kill people and you'll be evil. Okay? Or you come out the vault and you say, I want to be one of the Brotherhood of Steel. I want to be a knight. So you go, you pledge your life, and that's it. It's worth noting that you can actually betray your faction. So if you chose the Brotherhood of Steel, but think about betraying them, you can go to the raiders and talk to them. Okay? You might come out the vault and say, I want to be a junkie addict. So So you get all of the drugs you can find, and if you use too much of one drug, you'll become addicted to it. And if you don't use that drug again, you'll lose attributes and you'll gain a debuff. Now, addiction in this game can only be cured with Addictical at the moment. I don't think there's actually a doctor in this game, not like Fallout 4. Addictical is very rare, so getting addicted to something is very punishing, unless it's your build. If it's your build, then by all means it is a nice addition. In terms of builds, or speaking of builds, what are the builds in this game? Well, the builds in this game are pretty much endless. You can make your own build however you like. There is no like concrete builds that you can follow. There is no like, it's not like other games like Expedition where you have a build for shooting, you have a build for killing quickly, you have a build for parrying. No, it's not like that. Here the builds are very free form, like the building. So say you wanna be you wanna use your fists, you wanna punch, so you level up your strength, and punching is not enough. You lose health pretty quickly, so you go and become a ghoul. You can become a ghoul in this game, and now radiation heals you. So now you used something that isn't actually made for your build for your advantage. You can use buff out and other drugs to buff your fists. You can use your perks to buff your fists. You can add perception, or no, not perception, the what's it called? I think agility or endurance, something like, yeah, endurance. You can increase endurance so that you can have the junk armor. Junk armor means that if you have a lot of junk in your inventory, that increases your damage resistance. So you increase strength and endurance and have a lot of junk in your inventory, junk that you would otherwise scrap or store away. You have all of that in your inventory, and now you have very high damage resistance, and you can just tank the hits. So you're using attributes that aren't akin to your build to benefit your build. That's what I'm saying, that the builds in Fallout aren't concrete. Not like Elden Ring maybe. Like Elden Ring, if you want to do a strength build, you'll level up strength, agility, and vigor maybe for health. However, in Fallout Fallout 76, you can have intelligence benefit your strength build. Maybe your armor keeps breaking because you're using your fists. So armor keeps breaking, I wanna make the armor not break. Simple as that. So you increase intelligence. But also, I'm using fists, so I have to run at the enemies quite a lot. So running takes action points. My action points are quite low, so I need to level up agility. Agility isn't the aspect of my build, but I need to use it for my advantage. Also, I'm using fists. I can use the VATS for critical hits. If you use VATS and hit the enemies a few times with VATS, you gain a critical hit that you can use. So now I want to take advantage of that critical hit. So I'll level up perception. I'll level up perception so that my hits outside of VATS also charge my critical hits, and also inside VATS it charges them even more. And now I have damage resistance from endurance, I have critical hits from perception, more AP, so more stamina from agility, higher durability from intelligence, and basic damage increase from strength. So right now I've used basically all attributes for my advantage, and that's what I'm saying, that all attributes complement each other. You can't really expect to be powerful if you're using a rifle if you don't have strength. Even if strength is basically for melee and it doesn't affect ballistic weapons all that much, it also has perks that you can use to your advantage. So the builds in Fallout 76 are truly endless. You can by all means do a pure strength build, and a pure strength build is quite hefty. A pure strength build means that your one punch can probably kill a Deathclaw. However, you'll also die in one hit. So it's a trade-off. If you don't want to have the extra stamina, the extra health, the extra durability, the extra damage resistance, and you want to go for pure damage, you're gonna be a glass cannon, then there's also a build for that. And it's called the Junkie build. It is actually quite popular. You upgrade your strength and you take a shit ton of drugs, drugs that boost your defense, drugs that boost your strength, and drugs that boost your health in general, not your and also your defense. So taking all those drugs basically makes it so it's as if you have attribute points and other perks. So it's as if you have perception at like 4, as if you have agility at 5, and so on. And also alcohol. Alcohol in this game boosts some attributes. So maybe like a certain alcohol like beer, I think, boosts your strength by 1, and you can actually have more strength than the maximum. So basically if you have like 10 strength, you can drink that beer, take drugs, take aid, and then you have like 15 strength. So you went overboard, and it's not a cap, by the way. It's not a cap. The difference between 10 strength and 15 strength is night and day. You'll be able to literally one-shot Deathclaws. So there's a build for basically anything in this game. However, truth be told, if you don't know what you're doing, you'll probably anchor yourself at the start of the game if you try to do a specific build. Doing a specific build at the start is very reasonable, is very realistic. However, if you don't know what you're doing, you can become very underpowered and it won't be a good experience for you. So my recommendation is to start out making a build that is decent at everything, and then once you reach the 50 level mark, you can then respec and make your build the build of your choice. So what else? Oh yeah, I can't not talk about the optimization. This game has a very stupid aspect that is, it's basically loading and unloading 24/7, meaning it doesn't actually take advantage of your RAM. It doesn't take advantage of anything in your PC. So if your SSD is slow or your CPU is slow, then good luck. Good fucking luck, dude. Because this game runs like absolute dog shit. If you have a slow CPU, not a slow CPU, like not a weak CPU. I mean a CPU that has latency. Because this game, what it does, it basically takes assets from your SSD or hard drive, then takes it to the processor, and then compresses that those assets, and then the game takes assets from the SSD, then to the GPU where it compresses, then to the CPU. I think I don't know if it goes to the CPU or GPU first, but it's something like that. What that means is that the game has to wait until those assets compress, and then it can show your frames. So that translates in game to an extreme FPS drop, an extreme one. So basically you can be walking pretty normally, it's smooth and stuff. You go to a place that has a lot of assets and you just dip into the 20s for like 5 seconds, and then it stabilizes. However, because it's constantly loading and unloading, if you look back or go back to that place, and those places are plentiful by the way, if you go back it'll drop in FPS too, so there's absolutely nothing you can do. So if you have a good CPU, a decent GPU, you don't even have to have a good GPU for this game. It's not demanding, it's just the engine is quite bad. And you have a good SSD, then by all means this game will run perfectly in your PC. So that's it. That's pretty much it. So Fallout 76, in my opinion, I want you to form your opinion. That's the point of this video. I tried to be unbiased. This game is one of my favorite games of all time, but I tried to be unbiased so that you form your opinion, because this game is very polarizing. This game is very niche, meaning that it's not like other RPGs where you can just jump in and know what you're gonna expect. This game is quite strange in a way, because games like Elden Ring or Path of Exile, maybe, oh no, not Path of Exile, maybe Elden Ring, Dark Souls, Bloodborne, games like those, action RPGs, like The Witchers, those games are trading depth for interaction, for better combat, for better animations, better bosses, better world design. However, games like Fallout 76 trade gameplay and animations and optimization and stuff like that for better in-depth RPG elements. So what that translates into is that the world of Appalachia, Fallout 76, is very rich, has a lot of quests, it's very interactive, it's very beautiful at times, the RPG elements are very in-depth, the questing is very in-depth. However, the animations, the optimization, the graphics in general are subpar. So it is a realistic trade-off. It is one that we have to understand, that if Fallout 76 had better graphics, better animations, better optimization, then we wouldn't have this scale of a game. And it's such a shame, because they allocate a budget to these games. They have a certain budget that they can't go over. So when you're trying to make a game like as massive as Fallout, you have to allocate your resources to important parts first, and then whatever remains, you add that. Whatever remains of the budget, you try to fix the other issues. So maybe we'll see a different thing with Fallout 5. However, Fallout 76, if you take out the optimization, if you take out the subpar graphics at best, the game is actually perfect. The game is perfect. It is somewhat buggy at times, but in my experience, this is the most stable Fallout game, at least in my experience. It does require a VPN in certain countries. Some countries like Egypt, the game is actually not available. You can buy it, but you have to use a VPN to actually play it. So that's a thing you have to consider, and that's it. Hopefully this helps you make a decision whether you'll play it or not. Goodbye.